Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2337 of the Cabral Concept. Thanks so much for joining. We are going to go through the top 10 signs of poor drainage and detox. One of the reasons why I love to be able to do a daily show is because there's always so much going on inside of a clinical practice that I can always share with you what we see from hundreds of thousands of other people from around the world. And last week was our big community detox that we do. It's a functional medicine detox that we do every single season. Anybody can complete it anytime they want. That's not an issue. But we like to do it as a community, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people around the world, all joining in each season. This was our summer detox. Well, for those of us here in the US, the West, of course, in Australia, maybe it's your winter detox. But what we like to do is, again, come together, some camaraderie, some community. We all know that we're going through it together, but so many people are always doing it for the first time. So what we do is we like to share with them what it may improve upon and like how your detox systems actually work. So today I'm not going to go through how your body detoxifies, but I have a free course for you, literally completely free. You can just go to equi.life/detox-course. And just to make it easier for you, I'll put all the takeaways today, all the show notes, all the links at stephencabral.com/2337. Because doing a functional medicine detox is honestly, for most people, probably the number one thing that you can do. Why? It's very easy to complete. It's not going to dramatically change your entire life in terms of what you have to do for it. You don't have to add any extra exercise. You don't need to add any extra sleep, anything like that. You're changing your food choices, your fasting choices, your nutritional supplement choices, and it's just supercharging your liver and with that, skin and kidneys in order to be able to better remove what is going on inside of your body. That's why it's so effective for improving overall glucose levels, healthy levels of blood sugar, healthy levels of inflammation, hormones, sleep, and so much more. But how do you know if you need to do one in the first place? Well, besides the over 144,000 man-made toxins in the environment, that's just one reason. And why the average person we know, even just from birth, has at least 236 toxins already in their body. It's a good bet that we all need this every single 12 weeks. But again, whether you decide to do it or not is completely up to you. What I want to do is just share with you what we know through clinical science of the top 10 signs, or at least 10 main signs that you may need a detox. So let's start to go through it. And a detox is also having to do with poor drainage. Drainage has to do with your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system, it's an unbelievable statistic, but there's literally 4 times the amount of lymph in your body directly under your skin than there is actual blood in your body. So think about that. There's 4 times the amount of fluid of lymph in your body than there is blood. The problem is with the lymphatic system, it works on what's called a manual pump. So unlike your heart, which is just always pumping out the blood in and out, your lymphatic system is really only going when you are sweating. So you're heating your body up through that thermogenic based effect. Whether you're exercising, walking, you need to basically be moving your body or moving your lymph. And that's why massage and dry brushing, all of those things are great. I have so many podcasts on manual lymph drainage or lymphatic system or any of these things. You're welcome to check them out at stephencabral.com/podcast. That's a page that's basically archiving over 2,300 podcasts that you can search for any ailment that you may have, or anything that you're interested in terms of health, wellness, weight, anti-aging, etc. But what I want to do, again, is share with you what happens when all this stuff gets blocked up. What does it look like? Because there's no alarm that goes off in your system when something starts to go wrong. It shows you symptoms, right? So there's no little yellow light that says, oh, the lymphatic system is starting to get blocked up. And what it does instead, it shares symptoms. And we're going to go through those symptoms right now. So symptom number one, or sign number one of poor drainage or detox, is a skin rash or acne of some type. So it could be food sensitivities, it could be heavy metals, it could be dehydration. It could be all sorts of different things. But what it's showing is when you start to get rosacea, or you start to get psoriasis or eczema, or even some adult-based acne, we need to look at, did you eat a food that you're sensitive to? Or is there a hormonal issue? Like, what's going on in your body that your liver can't process all of these things and it starts to get pushed out through the skin? That's a big one. The second one is up on the head. Do you have a large amount, or do you often get dandruff? Now, you might say dandruff is just from dry scalp or whatever it is. Okay, but what's causing the imbalance in the actual, believe it or not, your skin is a biome, its own bacteria on the scalp. Where is there an imbalance on your scalp, your skin in general? What's going on there? Well, there's triggering reasons. One, it could be topical. That's possible. It's very possible, but not always. Because usually if your body's doing well internally, it can take care of the topical-based issues on your skin. So a lot of times we look at gut-based issues and leaky gut, intestinal permeability, and that leading to dandruff as well. Yeast is an exacerbating factor. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes mold, etc. But again, your body's not doing a great job at detoxing or draining those specific issues. All right, big one. Next, we're going to talk about a different part of the skin. So we're focused just a little bit on the exterior. We'll start to get more towards internal things as well. But the first four, I want to go through some things that you would see on the outside. So we talked about the skin, acne, rashes, etc. We talked about the scalp, the hair, right? So that dry scalp, that flaking of the scalp. And now number three is going to be about cellulite or spider veins. I see it more in cellulite for sure. One of the big issues with spider veins and cellulite in general is that there's just not very good lymphatic flow. There's not a good job of the body of being able to remove all of these toxins from the body. So when you hear about the lymphatic system, let me just give a little 1 minute on the lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is basically like a one-way street. So all the cars are driving down a one-way street. That's your lymphatic system. Just think about, for example, someone pulls over or they're stopped on that one-way street. Let's say it's a one-way, and they put on their hazards and they just stop. Okay, well, what happens? All of the cars on that street get backed up. Well, that's what the lymphatic system is. Again, it moves one way and it can get locked up. You can get locked up because of, again, not enough movement. We know that for sure. Higher blood pressure, stenosis, inflammation. Like there's all different reasons why it might get blocked up. The other part is there's literally so much waste coming from the cells themselves because your cells give off waste. And they're also supplied nutrients as well through the what's called interstitial milieu, the fluid around the cells. But that interstitial milieu also flows those toxins into the lymphatic system. And they move through different drainage points called your lymph nodes. We'll talk about those in a moment. And that's where the white blood cells can be breaking down viruses or other issues inside as well. So we have to keep in mind that if we're seeing a lot of cellulite, it's a really good sign that there is some type of drainage-based issue. I can't recommend that enough because when the liver especially is overloaded, you're not going to be able to process and remove estrogen well enough and many others. So definitely take a look at that. I have lots of shows on cellulite as well. You can find those just by going to stevencabral.com/podcast, type in cellulite, and you'll be able to find those. All right. Spider veins as well, and even varicose veins can be inflammation and circulatory issues, and no doubt about it, that can happen from poor drainage. All right, a big one that I've gotten quite a few questions on lately is, why do I wake up in the morning with such stiff ankles, calves, feet? It almost feels like they're all locked up, that it's almost a little painful to sometimes walk. One of the big issues is that poor circulation, potentially from inflammation and from poor detox. So one, again, let's put it this way, if you have poor detox, you're most likely going to have inflammation. So the inflammation is going to start to do what? Well, overflow that rain barrel. Now you're feeling the stiffness, maybe the pain, and not just the feet. Maybe you feel it all over your body. Maybe it's in your lower back. But a lot of people do start to feel that stiffness on the lower part of their body. Why would they feel it more in their feet? Think about it. You need your calves to be helping to pump all the fluid back up to the heart. So it's going to sound kind of strange, but your lymphatic system runs through the whole body. But the way that it drains is up through this left part of the shoulder and then down. So I'm not going to get too deep in that. I wrote about that in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. I talk about it on the podcast. But you need to be able to pump fluid from the legs up. And that is not an easy thing if there are drainage-based issues. So we've talked about it before, but things like rebounding, I mean, literally 30 seconds even at a time can be tremendous for that. So super important. You want to work on that drainage to improve morning stiffness in the body as well. So one of the things that rebounding can help as well is what we were just kind of talking about. What if you do have swelling of your ankles? Swelling of your feet. Have you ever seen anybody with swollen ankles, swollen feet, all that edema? Sure, it can be from kidney-based issues. There's no doubt about it. But guess what? Kidneys are one of the main detoxifiers. You have your liver, you've got your kidneys, you have your skin, and your lungs to a degree. All right, so those are your detoxifiers. If there's poor drainage, you're going to end up with edema, which is water retention. A lot of people think it's body fat that they're holding on to it. No, I did a podcast many years ago called Toxic Water Weight. And for people that don't really understand this information, not everyday people in our community, I'm talking about like, so-called experts, they're like, oh, there's no such thing as toxic water weight. Listen, like if you've ever studied and you've done any research on edema, you of course know that there's something called toxic water weight. You're not supposed to be holding all that water in your ankles and in your feet. And even for a lot of people with lower thyroid-based issues, or again, poor drainage, it can end up with swelling not just in the ankles and feet, but you can have swelling over the entire body. That's why your whole body looks a little puffy. And when you push in the skin, you might actually see a little bit of an indent. That's certainly edema. You might even see like that white, that lighter color impression as well as you push into the skin. And another thing, all around the neck and the face can be filled with fluid as well, not just for thyroid, but poor drainage too. One of the things that I will have to deal with for the rest of my life is poor drainage all around my sinuses. So I've never really shared this story before, although I'm always happy to share. I'm an open book when it comes to my overall health. I had my tonsils removed when I was around 8 to 10 years old. I don't know the exact date. It's somewhere within that range. And I have all this scar tissue from my tonsils being removed in the back right side of my soft palate. So I have like maybe 3/4 of the opening maximum that most people do to swallow food down. And then since the tonsils were cauterized off, I no longer have those lymph nodes. More on that in a moment. But then, to make matters worse, I had my adenoids removed, which is essentially in the sinuses behind the nose. Those are cauterized at the same time. Again, in conventional medicine, if it's swollen or does not working right, we'll just cut it out. We won't even look at the underlying root cause. We're just going to cut it out. And then my adenoids were not done properly. And because that's the only thing I could think about, because once you have your adenoids taken out, they don't really regrow. But apparently they said mine regrew, which is essentially impossible. So they really just didn't do a proper job the first time around. So then I had them removed a second time around 21 years old. And when they did that, they had a difficult time with the intubation process. So literally they had to break a bone in my nose to help open up that passageway and then intubate me with a tube. It was just supposed to be simple outpatient surgery. When I was young, around 21 years old, they said that would help my breathing tremendously because I have a very pinched passageway here. But nonetheless, that did not go as smoothly as possible. That's why I say if you need surgery, you do it, but it should be your last possible option. That was the last surgery I've ever had, 21 years old. I hope to never have another one, but who knows, right? We can only do the best that we can do. So for me, I have all sorts of pinched off drainage in my sinuses. So what I try to do is just a manual lymph drainage around my eyes each morning when I wake up, and then each evening as well. I'll use a gua sha-based stone, or I'll just use my own hands, which I've learned from Ayurvedic medicine, and just manual lymph drainage around the face. So you just do the best you can with what you have. But if you're starting to see more full body swelling, and especially in the ankles and feet, please, definitely you want to have that checked out overall, but we really need to be working on that. All right, number 6 is frequent colds or infections. If you're someone that gets sick easily, we need to look at deeper culprits, leaky gut, immune issues related to your digestive system, or other hormonal imbalances like low cortisol during the day and higher cortisol at night. There's many factors, but again, all of this leading to inflammation and detox and drainage-based issues. You need a good functioning liver in order to be able to properly balance your immune system. Number 7 is allergies. I had allergies essentially my entire life. Until about 27, 28, 29 years old, I had debilitating seasonal allergies. So mild year-round allergies, and then I had just awful allergies for about 3 weeks of the year. End of April into May in Boston, Massachusetts, the New England area, I would suffer. It was awful. My eyes would be literally swollen shut. My eyes have always been my Achilles heel my whole life. And bright red, like scratches on on glass. It was terrible. But again, what did I have to do? I literally did detox after detox after detox. I worked on drainage. I started doing rebounding. I would do massage, just self-myofascial release, just some foam rolling. I worked on my overall gut, healing that still. I got rid of mold that I had. And then my allergies now, again, luckily and unfortunately, but again, there's always an underlying root cause. Those are now a thing of the past. All right. And again, I have methylation issues in my genetics, COMT issues. I have histamine issues. So that's why for me, again, I'm more prone to allergies, but you have to understand I no longer have them. So just because you have it in your genetics does not mean your genetics need to be your destiny, right? For sure, they do not. All right. The eighth one, this is interesting. I obviously am a huge proponent of sweating, of sauna. And a lot of people say, oh, when I do the sauna, I don't sweat. All right. Not sweating in the sauna is certainly a sign of an imbalance in the body. It could be it could literally be a sympathetic nervous system imbalance, so dysautonomia of the nervous system, because you're not switching from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic, being able to stay in that. That's really, really important. It could be a blood pressure-based issue. It could be an electrolyte issue where your body doesn't want to sweat out additional sodium. That's certainly a possibility. It could be low thyroid. It could be low overall metabolic rate. So there's lots of issues. But sweating is certainly one of them, because the way that your body drains and detoxes is absolutely through the skin. Even just overnight, your body is losing about 1 liter of water per day. So are you dehydrated? Literally, are you consuming enough fluid? Really, really important. It's also one reason why I'm such a huge proponent of smoothies. It's one of the easiest way to get in 3 or 4 glasses of water per day. And yes, fruit and a smoothie do count. All right, number 9 is swollen glands. So when I first got sick at 17 years old, and they lasted for years, I used to have massively swollen glands underneath my neck right here, but also in my armpit, my groin, behind my knees as well. Those are some of the major spots for your lymph nodes. But you have lymph nodes all over the body, but those are a bunch of the major areas, and certainly what you want to be looking at as you're moving that lymph through your body. Again, check out our videos on manual lymph drainage, self-myofascial release. Well, that's not really exactly part of it. Ayurvedic massage, like Abhyanga, that would be it. So that's great. We also have it in our app, which is in the iObone app. You'll see all of these things on how to do that. But again, swollen glands, that is a backup. That's literally a backup of your lymph fluid. All right, so that's a dead giveaway. That's a sign that your body, your white blood cells, are trying to break down harmful particles in your body. And they're doing their job, so that's good, but certainly overloaded. All right, so you want to give them a little help. All right, the last one is waking up between somewhere around 1 and 2, between that and 4 a.m. So I usually see it for most people between right around 3 a.m., so 2:30 to 3:30 a.m. People will just spontaneously wake up. Well, it's interesting to look at that, and again, all of these can be correlated with specific science. This one is just more, there's a few studies around this, but I don't want to quote those because the science isn't that great yet. But I will tell you is this, keep in mind that everything that Ayurveda has said has really come true. Like, it just takes a little while to prove these things out. But there seems to be a certain connection between that detox part of the evening and when our liver is processing the deep amount of toxins in the body and us being overloaded. So if there's a lot going on in the body, that kind of wakes us up. It's using more energy, and that can wake us up out of sleep. I'll get into this topic probably more in depth on another day, but I just want you to know, like, if you're consistently waking up somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m., it's something to look at for sure. Even between 1 and 4 a.m., it's something absolutely to be aware of. So those are my top 10 signs. I'll go through kind of mood-based ones on another show, but those are the top 10 signs externally that you can at least feel of poor drainage and detox, check out the free detox course. It's literally completely free. I just try to teach these things to as many people as possible. We'll link that up for you today. I'll link up my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, as well. Get yourself a free copy. That's at stephencabral.com/2337. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.